Hello, my name's Fernando, and this is not my voice. Personally, I'm not a fan of my voice. To hear it recorded, it'd be even worse. And in an attempt to make a good impression here, I asked my Canadian friend Tom to do the voiceover. He has much more style and fluency. They asked me to talk about how entrepreneurship and innovation can help impact social change. I'll share my experience. I'm 33, and 15 years ago, I was in Amsterdam visiting a coffee shop to celebrate my university admission. A few years later, I was visiting a favela in Rio for the first time and befriended some 15-year-olds carrying AK-47s to sell drugs, especially marijuana. A few months later, all these kids were dead. I wondered, how can people sell marijuana in one corner of the world with no violence when in the other, black kids were being killed? I tried to make a film about this, but everyone just thought I was a pothead advocating drug use. Years later, I founded my production company, Spray Filmes, and heard on the TV that former presidents of Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia had created a commission advocating the decriminalization of all drugs. I invited the Brazilian president to do a film about the legalization of weed, and believe it or not, he accepted. 2 years later, we released Quebrando Tabu, based on 173 interviews with ordinary people and 5 former presidents like Cardoso, Clinton, Jimmy Carter. For the first time, presidents were admitting that they got it wrong.
Yeah, there are a lot of things I would have done differently. I think my opposition to needle exchange and medical marijuana when I was president, both were wrong.
There is clear proof in our country of a racial discrimination in laws that apply to criminalizing the use of narcotics.
It was filmed in 18 cities, including a FARC poppy field in the Colombian jungle. One interesting fact we discovered during the film's release: when asked if they were in favor of drug decriminalization, the majority of people would say no. But if we asked the same question in different words, such as, "Do you agree drug users should receive criminal punishment and be imprisoned?" they'd give a different answer. We discovered something called the misunderstanding zone, an area where people would make their decisions based on things that they assumed to be true, but in fact was something else entirely. After the film's release, Brazil's biggest TV station, Globo, openly discussed the legalization of weed for the first time. Respected congressmen made speeches about the film, and an unprecedented media coverage shed some light on a dark area of misunderstanding. Quebrando Tabu became a Facebook channel with almost 500,000 subscribers and 10 million views per week, discussing not only drugs, but freedom, gay rights, women's rights, racism, among other challenging issues. During our latest election, our online community pressured one of the parties to condone and censor the campaign of a deputy that was advocating intolerance. The film generated a twin project. In co-production with overseas partners, we released a new version, an adaptation of Quebrando Tabu to English-speaking audiences, narrated by the voice of God.
I'm Morgan Freeman, and I'm breaking the taboo.
That was released for free on YouTube for 3 weeks, gathered over 750,000 views, and was then sold to 22 countries. What's curious is that a kind of butterfly effect happened. One of the main points of Quebrando Tabu was that if we can't control drugs in a maximum security prison, how can we eradicate them in a free society? In other words, the law of the market. If we can't eradicate the supply, must we reduce the demand? But how? Since I believe in the power of education to help people exercise their freedom by the power of choice, we created a new film, Na Quebrada, showing true stories of kids from the ghettos of São Paulo who studied cinema at an NGO and changed their lives. One of them was the son of an inmate. Wait a minute, have you ever thought about what it's like to be the son of a criminal? That was our inspiration. We decided to help rekindle a theater group inside a penitentiary that was deactivated and use the inmates as actors of our film. 30 inmates in process of resocialization became 30 actors that not only acted in the film, but inspired hundreds and thousands of others.
E o trabalho foi feito. Qual é o trabalho? Não tem mistério nenhum. É um abraço, um carinho, uma atenção.
We're still not certain how many of them will overcome their obstacles, but we gave hope to many, showing that change is possible. One of them is now a leader at an NGO helping other inmates to reintegrate into society. Others want to create support groups. Not only did we premiere the film at a penitentiary for the first time, but we got a permit to bring them all to the main film premiere, mixing our guest audience with inmates, former inmates, artists, businessmen, policemen, even the governor and the mayor. If you ask me, how can art and cinema help change the world? Well, I believe that sometimes people can have different views on the same subject, but they believe in the same principles. They just don't know it and don't work together because of the misunderstanding zone. If we break the silence of misunderstandings, we can work together pragmatically towards the same objectives and dreams.